All right, so yeah, just a little bit going on here in town. I think it's all the fun stuff. So I just have to come up and try to make stuff up as we go here, to try to bring us home here. Why do we kind of like the hunting team? Just because number one, it's fun. It's also an excuse to wear casual stuff in the office. I'm telling you that Aaron usually want to see him nodding right now. He can't yell at me for this one because it was a designated, it was required by the presentation. But it is a different game, same challenges. It's competitive. The environment is always changing. There's all kinds of variables you have to always keep an eye on in order to be successful. As Tim was indicating, it requires planning and active preparation. I can't tell you, the worst feeling in the world is to get out there, trudge out to your blind or your stand, and like, I forgot my hand warmers or my toe warmers, and it's today maybe not such a problem, but going forward, how to shorten your deer hunting is to not fully be prepared for that. Mitigating risk and maximizing safety, essentially in terms of investment or planning, not only in terms of how we act, but how we behave as a city, making sure we take everything that we can do to put ourselves in the best position to be successful, but not to the point where we are actually overextending ourselves or putting ourselves at some sort of financial risk or other risk of development. Some sort of development happening that we don't like. And probably the most accurate one I can certainly think of is we're always looking for the big one, but sometimes you're just happy to get something. Because every time if you go out and spend the time, you go, a win is a win no matter how you look at it. Knowing the rules is a big deal. I was gonna actually have you require the 4 firearm safety rules, but I think Tim's gonna hit you up enough on in text the quizzing on everybody of the rule. But just like hunting, you gotta know what the rules are supposed to be. From a city standpoint, there's zoning rules, there's ordinances, there's DNR rules, there's all kinds of bank lending institutions have rules when you're doing a project. There's all kinds of things that drive and end up restricting or directing how your project will go and how your community will go. You need to make sure you're aware of those and you've got a comprehensive list of those when you go into a project. Nothing is, developers love it when they get about 2/3 of the way down and all of a sudden like, oh hey, we forgot to tell you about something. Something like wetlands or something like, is a popular one we're dealing with a lot here lately. Most importantly, don't let a good opportunity, don't be fooled and make sure if there's a good opportunity out there, don't miss it. This is one, if anybody's seen this FedEx commercial, have you guys seen this one? Hey you guys, you're gonna scare away the deer. That's the line that goes with this particular picture. Sometimes it goes both ways. We don't want to shoot anything that flies, claim anything that falls. We want to make sure we know really what we're going after and make sure that it matches with what we're doing. But yeah, don't be fooled by some of those opportunities that are out there. So successful hunts, we talked about, it's been a great year. Aaron and I were commiserating a little bit after the budget hearing the other night. Most of the projects that have happened in Sun Prairie this year, most cities I think would be pretty happy with one of those things happening. We've had enough projects that have been really, once again, a record year. I did ask Aaron to say, if you ever hear me say that there's no way we can be as busy next year as we were this year, just shoot me. It was a great year. All 3 of these projects were, the Heart of America Group is the hotel project. Just some background on that one. I think it kind of, by the time it hits the paper and you can start to see you guys see the renderings and things out for the public knowledge, you don't realize how much work has maybe gone into that at this point. To get up to that, elected officials have had multiple meetings with those individuals. Staff we've been meeting with them, I believe, almost close to 1.5 years, 2 years, in terms of actually having an interaction with these. If we really go back, all the way back, the city actually commissioned a hotel study back in 2013. So it means the conversation on that actually happened probably back as early as 2012. So this has been going on for a while. We're really excited about this one. We did provide a pretty significant investment in this one in terms of some assistance. And the reason we did it is one of the best reasons I can think of is because they were proposing exactly what we wanted. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times we're negotiating, we're trying to push the developer to get something a little better, get something a little bigger, get something a little different. These guys brought us exactly what we asked for. If you go back to our 2013 study, they brought us 10,000 square feet of meeting space. They brought us a nice sit-down restaurant. They brought us the Hilton Garden Inn flag was the #1 flag that we were hoping to see. And it's a local developer who keeps and maintains the project. Heart of America is actually out of the Quad Cities down in Illinois. They own and operate their projects. So they're not going to develop the project, flip it to somebody else. We know who we're going to be working with long term. So it was a great situation. Yes, ma'am.
Where will it be located?
This is actually going to be located immediately in front of, if you're on Highway C, it'll be right in front of Cabela's. So it's going to be right at the corner of Prairie Lakes Drive and
Okay.
Grand Avenue. So it's going to be right on the corner. So you will be able to see this project coming into town and going up and down that highway. But it's going to be a great gateway project for the city. Really one we're really excited about. Looking forward to them getting started here in the spring. So the center one, the College Town Riddell project, that's the one Tim referenced, that is kind of going north of the business park. This was a competitive project for us. It was pretty much us and the village of DeForest. I think really kind of ended up being the primary two communities who really ended up vying for this project. There were some other ones in the Dane County and Rock County area that were being considered, but it really came down to the two of us as finalists. Now, the reason I want to talk a little bit about that is these guys are a national user. So they have consultants and attorneys and an army of development professionals that work with them on their side of the aisle. So we have to try to keep up with these guys. Our very first meeting with these guys, they roll out. I actually met them at a Starbucks in East Washington in Madison. We pull in there and we start talking to them. They're like, "Well, let me show you a sample project of what we're looking at." And he rolls out the map. And we're like, "Dude, that's the village of DeForest. I can see Highway 51. I can see that it's an engineered site plan for another city. What are you doing? You're trying to use us against the village of DeForest. You're not serious about us. Thanks for playing. Let me know if we can do something else to help you out." Left the meeting. By the time I get back to the office, there's like 4 voice messages from the guy saying, we're serious. We're not kidding around. We're serious. All right, so we set another meeting. We came back again. Then they roll out they have an incentives consultant. So actually a guy his sole job is to try to get as much as they can financially out of us at the city level. Their first ask, I will put an actual hard number on it. Yeah, look at Aaron's starting to sweat already. It was literally, they said, "Well, we want you to create a TIF district for us. We want 100% of the increment. We want free land," and there was probably something else down the back end of that, somewhere down the line. Astronomical is an understatement in terms of what they asked. And we said, "Okay, guys, hey, thanks for playing. We'll have fun with the forest. We'll see you later." So we left again. So about a week went by again, phone rings again. So now wait a minute, now hold on. That was just our opening negotiating position. So I mean, don't be wrong. Hey, you don't get it if you don't ask. I understand. So we really spent a lot of time and effort to the point of trying to negotiate that number down to what we felt was more reasonable based on the investment they were making, based on the jobs they were creating, and really got down. And the one thing that I can tell this group here too is because it was a totally top secret. Anybody who does work in the village of DeForest, my counterpart there is Sam Blonick. He's the guy here. Every time he had a meeting with those guys, he'd call me afterwards. Every time I had a meeting with him, I'd call him afterwards. And almost every time, for the first dozen times was, "We never said that to him, it's a bunch of nonsense. They're trying to leverage you and use this against you." Well, guess what? They're doing it back to you too, buddy. So we were trading notes the entire time. And it's that kind of collaboration, honestly, that I think is really a good thing for our region, a good thing for our city, and it's a good thing for our region. It's dangerous to just go try to poach somebody or just out and out try to compete with our neighbors, because sooner or later you're going to lose that game. It's going to happen. The other examples is, well, we got that one. What happened? What did the forest get out of that deal? Well, earlier in the year, I got a phone call from a developer, and they said, "Hi, we'd like to talk to you about some of the city-owned parcels that you have." Okay, great. We've got those ones along Highway 51. We've got the ones in the business park. We've got several on that. So, well, we're interested in the one along Highway 51. I think you have the wrong city, my man. He says, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" I said, "Hold on, I'll get you in touch with the right guy." So I forwarded Sam Blonick's information into Forest, sent them that way. That was a little potato company. If everybody remembers that project or read about that one, kind of neat little project that happened in the Forest. So we gave him full credit. We said, we could have just kept them. And, "Oh yeah, that's not available anymore. You're gonna have to come over here at 151. We could have done that. But again, I think we got a great relationship working with them and with all some of our other neighbors, but that has not always been the case. I think the one only real poaching job, if we're going to keep our hunting theme going on today, was we went over to Madison and we got Marcus. Yeah. We did that one. I'm sorry, we did that one. But we really didn't, it wasn't a hard sell. We went over there, they just really got beat up in a meeting, and we just kind of told them, guys, we'd really love to have you in Sun Prairie. Handed them a business card and said, we'll get you approved in 8 weeks if you guys are interested in being in the same area. Shook hands and we left. It was literally not even a 5-minute meeting. And it was quiet for about 2 weeks. Phone rang. You guys serious about that? Yeah, absolutely, we're serious. Well, we're good, because we're pulling into Sun Prairie now with our CEO and our planner and our engineer. And they're like, oh, holy cow, yeah, come on down. So we called up the mayor and the council president, got everybody in the room, and that's how that whole project started. So there's so much story that goes into these deals, these projects that most folks don't see. Most of the time they're pretty amicable. Most of the time they work pretty well. Sometimes it's a little wailing and gnashing of teeth. Poor Aaron had to pretty much blow the whistle on me and the incentives consultant. He kept the word. We kind of went toe to toe with this guy really at the last second. I said, guys, it's no go. I'm not talking anymore. That's your best offer, then so be it. Thanks for playing. So I go home and I tell Aaron this. About 10 minutes later, he gets a call from the guy from Riddell saying, hey, maybe it's better if you and I just take care of this deal. And actually, to put it record speed, it was like 10 minutes he got the deal done and brought it home. So sometimes the good cop, bad cop thing actually works. It's a good thing. So we do have a lot of work. We do a lot of negotiating on these deals. Royal Printing is another one we're very proud of. We're excited about for this year. Long-term employer here in town. Done a lot of investment on their current site down on Bird Street. They've expanded 4 or 5 times down on Bird Street without any assistance from the city. They've always been a great partner. I know Nancy does a lot of work with them, with the school and with training and with internships. They've been a great partner for a long time. So when they approached us about needing some new space, we helped them. They were evaluating land in the existing area that they're in. They couldn't build any more on their property. They were full up. So they were looking at additional land near the railroad tracks and some other areas. And we said, guys, we have TIF 7 in the business park. It's actually closing. We've paid all our bills for it. So honestly, we just would like to have another tax-paying entity in there. We'll basically gave them a forgivable loan to come in and build on that property, essentially what the city did. So we didn't have to write an incentive check to that user, but it made them, we're going to be closing on that lot. Essentially, we're going to be giving that to them for no cost. They will be obligated for a loan. If they build what they say they're going to build, the city's going to forgive that loan. To make sure that they are here and they're here in Sun Prairie pretty much forever at this point. Because if they make that investment in addition to the investment they've had before, they're not going to go anywhere. And they had talked to other communities in the area. So it's not that we don't compete with our neighbors, but sometimes if we do the right thing, and I think in this case we did do the right thing, make sure that these guys stay here for a long, long time. On the hunt, so currently things in progress that we're working on. Probably our number one when we get there is where the heck are the breweries downtown? You guys remember, I think we talked about this last year here, didn't we? Yeah. Pretty sure we did. Yeah, guess what? We're still working with. We have one. One of them has essentially dropped out of the mix. Wild Brewing Company, they've kind of run into some, they kind of plateaued on their fundraising. They were kind of having some mixed ideas on which direction they were going to go with the actual project itself in terms of how much food they should have, how much other things they should have. So they essentially are kind of pulling back from the project. For a while, the gentleman who was going to build the building for Wild Brewing, who's actually got his building plan approved 4 times, I think already, and through the city council in terms of a conditional use permit for the building. He was going to build for a while. He's actually going to build the building for 4 miles. So we actually were able to save the developer and connected him with a new project. So he's still going to be able to move forward. So just to remind everybody, this is the lot immediately next to Market Street Diner. Looks like a little parking lot. It's kind of a little beat up spot left over from some of the redevelopment there. So we're going to be seeing, hopefully an agreement. We've been here before, but we're hoping to see an agreement within the next 30 to 60 days on that project, and hopefully that'll be breaking ground in the spring. So, good project. Again, it'll be more of a 50% brew pub restaurant, and then 50% brewing. So a little bit more effective. I think a little bit similar. I think in model to what the folks like Lone Grow Brewing and Wanakee folks have been over there for that. I think this is going to be a different project, but it'll at least be model-wise. We'll be following what that may end up being. Working with Imperial Blades on the business park. They're a manufacturer who's relocated to here from Madison here about 4 or 5 years ago. They've grown leaps and bounds. They actually do reciprocating blades, jigsaw blades. So we go to a hardware store, you get a new jigsaw blade. The odds are you're going to get one of these guys' blades here in this area. So they actually are experiencing tremendous growth. So they need to add production space and warehousing space. We're hopefully going to be able to keep them in their lot in the current business park, so we're working on doing everything we can to make sure they happen. 2G Engineering, if that sounds familiar, we've talked about them before. They actually took over the old Appliance Products building south of St. Mary's, down by Capitol Drive, right on Rhino Road. So they actually took over that whole building, remodeled that whole building. They're already coming in for a new expansion on that building. So probably about 4 years ahead of their forecast. So again, we're excited about the growth they've seen. One that folks have probably noticed downtown, and probably seen a lot of construction work going on, is the Salvatore Spade Pies project. Putting out the full glass windows. You guys remember where La Tolteca used to be? Now there's the full glass windows that are kind of now in place there. Doing a full reconstruct on the inside of that property. They ran into, to say they ran into issues, I guess, on the building would be the largest understatement of the year. They probably had, I think they had, was it 12 layers of flooring, and I think like 11 of them all had asbestos. That's about a $50,000 fix that they had some budgeted for it, but not nearly as much that they needed to do to get the rest of that out of there. There were stairs that weren't to code. There were walk-in cooler areas that had mold. There were just the issues that came up as they kept taking things off the wall were just phenomenal. So they put almost $750,000 into that building. That's not just the commercial space, that's also the apartments upstairs. There's a few apartments that they're renovating as well. So it's going to be an absolutely beautiful project. I think he's shooting for a late November opening. I think he's maybe got a friends and family thing coming up here right after Thanksgiving. But hopefully they will be opening and be available for public. He's going to have a full bar in there, makes a lot of folks happy. Be able to walk down there, and certainly from City Hall, you'll see a few of us down there if you wouldn't have to work. So again, it's going to be an absolutely beautiful project. So make sure and pop in there when they get ready to go. Getting ready for the next hunt. I think Tim kind of alluded to these two areas. We have TIF 11 and TIF 12. TIF 12 is our newest TIF district north of the current business park. This is where Riddell is being. You see kind of the red dot on the purple square on the map on the left there. That's where Riddell is currently under construction. The rest of that area is all available for development. So we're going to work on that area as well as moving on perhaps to some other areas in that. And in 2017, so we're looking forward to continuing the growth of the business park. So as excited as we were about Riddell as an individual project, the real value in terms of staff's perspective was opening up the rest of that land for further industrial development. So north of Holman Lindsay and kind of that area, that's the more that's I guess the left-hand border there is actually Bristol Street. So I'll give you some perspective on that. The other area that I think we're really excited about is we're starting to see some traction on Main Street, but we've actually been awarded a grant through Dane County to do some redevelopment studies specifically in this area. So we're going to be doing everything from a kind of a business walk retention survey with all of the businesses up and down Main Street, particularly the focus in this area, as well as identifying specific properties for redevelopment potential. We're going to be working to really kind of see which properties, which owners are really ready to go. What are the parameters, maybe the things that could be holding back redevelopment? Are there environmental issues? Are there multiple, in some areas there's smaller property and multiple owners in a small area, maybe trying to figure out how to get those into one ownership. So a lot of really trying to organize what the potential for this area is going to be. So we're excited about that, and we're looking to be spending some considerable time on that in 2017. Some other things that we've done really this year that I think are really great, that have gone a long way to help us keep pace with being one of the leaders here, I think, in Wisconsin. We had an Economic Development 101 session, we called it, with our city council members. Several of our newer council members had not had a lot of economic development experience. So we actually had Mr. Michael Gay from the Madison Region Economic Partnership come in. And he actually did like a 3-hour meeting, I think, with all of our elected officials to just talk about everything from TIF districts to industrial land to marketing land to everything under the sun in terms of what kind of questions they can ask. And we opened it up to several of our other committees in the city as well to kind of come in and really get an understanding of a lot of the tools and options that we use in our department every day. But it was really a great session for them to really learn more about that. So it helps staff, because now when we come in and we make a recommendation on a TIF district, or some TIF assistants specifically, they have a much better background and understanding of kind of why we're coming up with the recommendations that we are.